There is a real buzz building around Rangers right now, and you can feel it growing with every passing day as the focus sharpens on what lies ahead both on and off the pitch. The talk among supporters has naturally drifted toward transfers because that is always where attention goes when a club is trying to reshape itself. But there is also a much bigger picture forming at the same time. Rangers are edging toward a crucial point in the season with a demanding league fixture coming up and a squad that still feels like it is in transition, searching for the right balance and identity under the current management. One of the names beginning to circulate is Pierre Ecua, a midfielder whose profile immediately stands out because of his physical presence and the type of football he represents. He is not the sort of lightweight, purely technical player that dominated discussions in recent years, but rather a strong, athletic figure who brings power and intensity to the middle of the park. His background across clubs in England and France gives him an edge in terms of experience, especially when it comes to understanding the demands of British football, and that alone makes the link intriguing from a Rangers perspective. Ecua's situation, however, is far from straightforward. His contractual status has become a talking point in itself, with disagreements over where he is actually tied down and whether he is free to move. That uncertainty creates hesitation because Rangers cannot afford to be careless when it comes to transfers, particularly with a squad that already has gaps to fill. At the same time, the idea of bringing in a player who is physically dominant, comfortable in defensive midfield, and capable of dropping into the back line if required fits the broader trend we are seeing in the game right now. Modern football, especially at the top end of the British game, has swung back towards strength, speed, and aggression. Teams want players who can cover ground, win duels, and impose themselves physically without sacrificing too much quality on the ball. Rangers appear to be moving in that direction, targeting players who can stand up to the intensity of domestic competition and handle the relentless pace of the league. Ecua fits that undefined mold, and it is easy to see why his name has entered the conversation. Of course, there are valid concerns. A player who has not been involved in competitive matches for a period of time is always a risk. Training alone, no matter how intense, cannot fully replicate the sharpness required for top-level football. Match fitness, decision-making under pressure, and rhythm all come from regular game time, and that is something Rangers would need to consider very carefully. Add to that the questions around his willingness to play at a lower level in France, and it raises debates about attitude, ambition, and expectations. That said, without knowing the full details of the agreements made between clubs and representatives, it is impossible to judge the situation fairly from the outside. Football contracts are complex, and public narratives rarely capture what truly happens behind closed doors. Rangers would have to be absolutely confident not only in the player's ability, but also in the legal clarity of any potential deal before pushing forward. While transfer speculation rolls on, the immediate focus remains firmly on the pitch. Rangers are preparing for a difficult away fixture against Hearts, a match that carries real significance in the context of the league table. It still feels strange to speak about Rangers as underdogs in any domestic fixture, yet that is the reality when facing a side sitting above them. In some ways, that shift in perception could actually work in Rangers' favor, easing pressure and allowing the players to approach the game with a sharper edge and fewer expectations weighing them down. 3 points in this match would send a powerful message. It would close the gap at the top, apply pressure to rivals, and reinforce the sense that Rangers are moving in the right direction domestically. There is an understanding among supporters that the squad is not yet where it needs to be, but there is also a belief that progress is being made step by step. Backing in the manager during the upcoming transfer window has become a key talking point, with optimism growing that lessons have been learned from previous mistakes. The league form under the current manager paints a picture of steady improvement. Rangers have become harder to beat, more organised, and more disciplined in key moments. Defensive solidity, while not perfect, has improved enough to provide a platform for results. Clean sheets have returned more regularly, and even when the team has been tested, there has been resilience and fight that felt absent earlier in the season. What stands out most is the renewed sense of commitment from the players. The intensity levels are higher, the willingness to run and compete is more evident, and there is a visible connection between the squad and the manager on the touchline. That buy-in is crucial, especially when working with a group that still lacks depth and consistent quality in certain areas. Getting results with an imperfect squad is often the clearest sign of effective coaching. There are still flaws, and nobody is pretending otherwise. Defensive lapses have appeared, particularly in European competition, and Rangers have relied at times on last-ditch interventions or strong goalkeeping to get through matches. Yet when you look at the overall trajectory, the domestic picture is far healthier than it was not so long ago. Unbeaten runs build confidence, and confidence changes everything in football. As Rangers head toward this pivotal stretch of the season, the blend of short-term results and long-term planning will define what comes next. Transfer targets like Ecua symbolize a shift in thinking towards strength and physicality, while performances in the league suggest a team slowly rediscovering its identity. The challenge now is to keep that momentum going, starting with a demanding test away from home where character, discipline, and belief will once again be put firmly under the spotlight. Looking beyond the immediate fixture, there is a growing sense that Rangers are trying to rebuild something more sustainable rather than simply chasing short-term fixes. The conversations around recruitment, squad balance, and physical presence all point toward a club that has recognized its own shortcomings and is attempting to correct them in a more deliberate way. This is not about glamour signings or headline-grabbing moves, but about assembling a group capable of coping with the realities of the Scottish game week after week. The profile of players being discussed tells its own story. Height, strength, athleticism, and versatility have become recurring themes, suggesting a clear vision of what is missing from the current squad. Rangers have often been accused of lacking bite in midfield, especially in matches where intensity outweighs technical quality. Too many times, the team has been outmuscled, outrun, or bullied in key areas of the pitch, and that is something the coaching staff appear determined to address. The evolution of the team's style is already visible in recent league performances. Rangers are no longer trying to dominate every match through possession alone, but are showing a greater willingness to adapt, to compete physically, and to manage games more pragmatically. That does not always produce the most attractive football, but it does produce points, and at this stage of the season, points matter far more than aesthetics. Much of that shift comes down to the manager's approach. There is a clear emphasis on structure, defensive responsibility, and collective effort. Players are being asked to work harder without the ball, to track runners and to close spaces more aggressively. This has reduced the number of clear chances conceded, even if the occasional mistake still creeps in. Improvement, after all, is rarely linear. One of the most encouraging signs has been the response of players who previously looked short on confidence. Individuals who struggled for form earlier in the campaign are now contributing more consistently, not necessarily through moments of brilliance, but through solid, dependable performances. That kind of reliability can be just as valuable as flair, particularly in a league where physical battles often decide the outcome. The upcoming months will be crucial in determining whether this progress can be sustained. A busy schedule, potential injuries, and the mental demands of a title chase, all present challenges that will test the squad's depth and resilience. This is where recruitment becomes vital. Adding the right players in key positions could transform Rangers from a side battling to keep pace into one capable of setting the tempo. January, therefore, looms large. It is not just another transfer window, but an opportunity to reshape the season. The expectation among supporters is not for wholesale change, but for targeted reinforcements that complement what is already there. Midfield in particular feels like an area where one or two additions could make a significant difference, providing balance, protection for the defense, and a stronger platform for the attacking players. At the same time, there is an understanding that patience will be required. New signings rarely hit top form immediately, especially in a league as demanding as Scotland's. Adaptation takes time, and the pressure of playing for Rangers only amplifies that challenge. The manager's role in easing players into the system, managing expectations, and maintaining confidence will be just as important as the quality of the signings themselves. What cannot be questioned at the moment is the change in mentality around the club. There is a sharper edge to Rangers now, a sense that standards are being enforced more rigorously. Training intensity, match preparation, and in-game discipline all appear to have improved, and those are foundations upon which success can be built. Supporters can see that the players are fighting for the shirt again, and that connection between team and fans is starting to strengthen. The league table, while still tight, reflects that renewed competitiveness. Climbing into contention after a difficult start has not been easy, and it has required consistency as much as quality. Each result builds belief, and belief fuels momentum. In football, momentum can be a powerful force capable of carrying teams through periods when performances are not at their best. Rangers are not the finished article, and nobody should pretend otherwise. There will be setbacks, difficult afternoons, and moments of frustration along the way. However, the direction of travel feels more positive than it did earlier in the campaign. The emphasis on physicality, organization, and collective responsibility suggests a team learning from its mistakes rather than repeating them. As the season unfolds, the challenge will be to maintain that progress while navigating the pressures that come with expectation. Every match will be scrutinized, every decision debated, and every dropped point magnified. That is the reality of playing for a club of this size. How Rangers respond to that pressure will ultimately define what they achieve. For now, there is cautious optimism. The signs of improvement are there, the commitment from the players is evident, and the prospect of reinforcement in the coming window offers hope that the squad can take another step forward. The foundations are being laid, the identity is slowly taking shape, and the next phase of this journey will test just how far this group can go. There is also an important psychological element at play that cannot be ignored. Rangers have spent long periods in recent seasons carrying the weight of expectation, without always having the tools to manage it. What feels different now is the way setbacks are being handled. Heads are not dropping as quickly, mistakes are being absorbed rather than snowballing, and the team is showing a greater ability to stay in games even when momentum swings against them. That mental resilience is often the difference between sides that fade and sides that stay in the hunt. Another factor that deserves attention is the balance between youth and experience within the squad. Rangers have players who have been around the club long enough to understand what it means to compete at the top in Scotland, but they are now being asked to support a structure that demands more discipline and responsibility. Younger players, meanwhile, are being introduced into an environment that values effort and intensity as much as technical ability. That blend, if managed correctly, can create internal competition and raise standards across the board. All of this sets the stage for a defining run of fixtures where progress will be measured not just by results but by performances under pressure. Away matches, physical opponents, and tight scorelines will reveal how far Rangers have truly come. The sense right now is that the club is edging towards something more solid and dependable, built on hard work rather than shortcuts, and that feeling continues to grow with every test that lies ahead. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Rangers have sent a ripple of disbelief through the European game after whispers began to circulate around Ibrox of a sensational move for a current Premier League star. Nothing has been signed, nothing confirmed, yet the mere suggestion has been enough to light up back pages and phone-ins across the continent. In the corridors of the club, the word is that this is not idle fantasy, but a calculated ambition, the sort of statement that would redraw perceptions of Scottish football overnight. According to sources close to the situation, Rangers' hierarchy believe the time is right to strike, financial conditions are said to be aligned, and there is confidence that the project on offer could tempt a player long accustomed to the glare and grind of England's top flight. The pitch, so the story goes, is about legacy rather than comfort, between European nights, domestic dominance, and the chance to become a talisman rather than just another name on a crowded team sheet. Skeptics will argue that such talk surfaces every window, only to fade as reality bites. Yet this rumor carries a different weight. Intermediaries are reportedly involved, discreet conversations have taken place, and there is a sense that Rangers are prepared to stretch themselves if the final pieces fall into place. The players' camp, meanwhile, is said to be intrigued by the prospect of a new challenge north of the border, where expectations are fierce and heroes are remembered. If the move were to materialize, it would not merely be a transfer, but a cultural moment, a signal that Rangers intend to compete for attention well beyond Scotland. For now, fans are left to imagine, to debate names and possibilities, and to wonder whether this bold murmur will harden into history. In football, dreams often dissolve by morning. This one, though, refuses to go quietly. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned